Vikram Limaye joining us here on ET Now on the big story that has unfolded this Tuesday. Vikram Limaye, thanks so much for joining us. This is Nayantara Rai. If I could first begin by maybe just observing that, maybe it's a blessing that the markets are shut on tomorrow, on Wednesday. The market participants will have time to actually digest the order that has come out, a scathing order against India's largest stock exchange, talking about fraud, talking about a 625 crore rupee disgorgement order with penalties, and against two managing directors of the stock exchange. If I could ask you, I know you've been going through the order with your legal team. What is your sense? What's going to be the impact of this on the markets and the stock exchange?
Okay, so first a couple of clarifications. The exchange has not been charged under FUTP for any kind of fraudulent or unfair trade practices. That the order is quite clear. So that I want to first clarify for everyone. The second point I want to make is that this order has no bearing on the functioning of the market. Okay, NSE will continue to function the way it was functioning. All segments will continue to function normally. Investors will have no disruption from a market perspective. This relates to a legacy issue for 2010 to 2014, which has been going on for the last few years, for which an order has been passed. Okay, the trust in Indian markets is rock solid. I think investors believe, and it's factually correct, that the Indian markets are very well regulated and are well-functioning markets. NSE has done a lot over the last couple of years to make sure that controls and processes, etc., are also strengthened. And so I don't think this has any bearing on the market at all. NSE will continue to function normally, markets will continue to function normally, and investors will have no disruption at all as it relates to operating in the Indian markets. This is an important point for your viewers to understand, that this order has no implications on the functioning of NSE as a critical market infrastructure institution or as a stock exchange.
Okay, that's a very important clarification that's coming in. The stock exchange will continue business as is usual, Vikram Limaye. That's what you're saying. No impact on the stock exchange, except that the NSE has been barred from the securities market for 6 months. What is that going to do with the NSE's plans of the IPO? Will that have to be shelved for at least 6 months? Or are you planning to maybe appeal against this order?
Yeah, so that's another clarification that is important. The clause that talks about NSE not being able to access the public markets for 6 months, the immediate interpretation of that will be surrounding NSE's IPO plans. Okay, it has no other bearing, as I said, on the functioning of the markets or the functioning of any segment of the market. It has to do only with any fundraising plans that NSE might have had from the public markets. So the direct implication of that as an interpretation would be that the IPO of NSE would need to be on hold for the next 6 months.
The IPO will be on hold for 6 months. Vikram Limaye, are you going to perhaps appeal against this aspect of the SEBI order, talk about the change in leadership, or bring about how there has been a change in leadership and this is a legacy issue and therefore not maybe unfair to, penalize NSE at this juncture?
So I'm not going to talk about what our legal course of action is going to be because it's preliminary to do that. I've literally just got the order half an hour ago from the website of SEBI, and we will obviously examine that internally. Our lawyers will also examine the order, and then based on advice that we get, we will pursue the right course of action.
I will have to want to ask you this, with Ravi Narayan and Chitra Ramakrishna having to disgorge 25% each of their salaries drawn, who's going to be funding this disgorgement? 625 crores plus 12% interest. How is this going to work out? Is it actually fair that this liability is falling on the National Stock Exchange? How is this going to pan out?
No, obviously the institutional liability of 625 crores and 12% interest would be something that NSE would have to bear. The liability, the financial obligations of employees is obviously not a charge on NSE in terms of financial implications.
Mr. Limaye, the order says the National Stock Exchange did not exercise due diligence while putting in place the tick-by-tick architecture and told the NSE to frequently carry out system audits. What's done is done. Mr. Limaye, I want to talk to you about the future. Has this been taken care of? Have you been able to audit this? Has this been fixed? What is the status as of now?
So as I said, I mean, obviously this relates to a matter that is almost anywhere from 5 to 9 years old, because it relates to 2010 to 2014. A lot has obviously happened after that from a technology perspective and in terms of strengthening controls, processes, etc. So I want to assure all investors and your viewers that, as I said, the trust in NSE and the trust in Indian markets is rock solid as it should be. We are a well-functioning, well-regulated market. NSE has put in place very strong controls and processes to address any of the issues that may have arisen as a result of the co-location issue. And those are behind us. And this will have no bearing on the functioning of NSE going forward. We will obviously continue to focus on governance as we have been and in strengthening our controls and processes. But that is an ongoing exercise for any organization.
Vikram Limaye, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us this late on Tuesday evening to understand this as very important clarifications coming in from the top boss of the National Stock Exchange. No impact on the stock exchange, no impact on its functioning, no impact on market participants. It's business as usual for the stock exchange and for all of you that trade on the NSE. There's an important clarification coming in. NSE continuing to analyze the SEBI order, is looking into it. Too early to say whether it is going to be appealing against it or not. But right now, with that SEBI order, no IPO possible for 6 months. With that, we're going to have to take a short commercial break, but stay tuned. You're watching this very special edition of the India Development Debate. On the other side, an exclusive interview with the top management of Yes Bank, including the new CEO. The stock is tanked nearly 30% after declaring a surprise loss in the fourth quarter. Its Operation Spring Cleanup at Yes Bank. Coming up after this break.